Hey, 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 Atlanta! How's everybody doing today? Hi, guys. My name is author Angela Wynette, and I am here. I'm from Dallas, Texas, so I'm visiting Atlanta. Y'all have been lovely. Thank y'all for the warm welcome. And so today I'm just going to come here and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do, who I am, and hopefully at the end you're able to get something out of this that is able to help you or help those around you that you know need it. And so again, my name is author Angela Wynette. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I am an author, a life coach, and a public speaker. So I go around do motivational speaking. I have a couple of books out as well. And then I also have clients that I do life coaching for. And so for me, my passion is to help others find and realize their true selves and then truly be happy in the person of who they are. And so a little bit about me, I'm a pre-K kid. I was a preacher's kid, grew up with siblings, mother and father, have been married going on 40 years. And so I grew up in a household where my dad was a preacher, my mom was a teacher, and everybody was like, oh, you got the perfect family. You got this household, two-parent household, siblings that love you, life is great. So we would think. It wasn't. And everybody was like, but why not? Because on the outside looking in, everything looked great, but on the inside, I was struggling. I didn't feel like I fit in with my family. I didn't feel like I really knew who I was as a person. And so life just was all over the place. And I didn't know how to tell people because I didn't want to sound ungrateful. I didn't want to sound like I'm not appreciative for having a two-parent household, for having siblings that love me, for having a house and a school and everything that I needed. And so I didn't want to seem as though I wasn't appreciative for the things that I had received in life. And so I know a lot of us are in that place where people look at our lives and they're like, well, you're a stay-at-home mom, or you have this good 9-to-5 job, you have a house, you have a car, so how can you really be upset? How can you really be mad? What is there to complain about? And on the outside looking in, they don't really know your struggle. Behind closed doors, you're dealing with self-esteem issues. You don't like what you see in the mirror. You're not sure if your friends are really your friends. So you're questioning, are these people really here in my life because they like me and love me? Or just because I'm a good time? Because I know to go out and have a fun drink, or I spend money with them, or I go on vacations with them. And so you don't really know that when push comes to shove and your back is against the wall, are these people really going to be there for me like I am for them? And so that's some of the questions and some of the things that I dealt with in life is, am I really happy? Are these people in my life really genuine? And being a preacher's kid, you grow up, you're always on front and center. Everybody judges your life. And they feel as though they have a right to say whatever, that they're entitled to their opinions, and that you gotta walk this fine line. You can't dress a certain way, you can't act a certain way, and you better not talk a certain way, because that's not the life of a preacher's kid. But I had to keep telling everybody, my dad is a preacher. I'm just a child born into it. And so the limits and everything that they put us up under wasn't fair. So I thought. And so I didn't appreciate growing up being in the spotlight, being judged, being criticized. But then look at me now. I'm in the spotlight, I'm being judged, I'm being criticized, but it built me, and I didn't know it at the time. It was setting me up for the position of where I had to be today, to where I could withstand what was going on. But being younger, I couldn't see that at the time. All I saw was these people in my business, they think they know me. They think they got a right to judge me when their household is a mess, but they want to tell me about myself. And so, again, I didn't realize it at the time that what I was going through was building me up for the person I was going to have to be today. And so my first book talks about my pain versus my purpose. And this book is basically me breaking up with me. And it was me having to divorce myself and the toxic relationships in my life, the toxic marriage that I went through, the self-esteem issues that I went through, the depression that I went through, the estranged relationship with my family that I went through, the loss of loved ones unexpectedly that I wasn't ready for and that I didn't know how to grieve. And so I just held all those feelings inside. And so with this book, My Pain versus My Purpose, it just basically is a tell-all of everything we go through in life. And again, it's something that a lot of us deal with, but if we're honest with ourselves, we don't really know how to talk about it. We don't really know how to address these issues. And if we have people in our life, we're not sure if we can actually talk to them because we're not sure if they really care or if they're going to receive it or if they're going to brush it off and say, you're just complaining, you're being ungrateful, you don't know what you're talking about. And so a lot of things we hold inside because of the circle that we're surrounded around, we don't really know how they will receive the true version of us. And that was me. Being in my family, going to college, just started my first semester, was having stomach issues, didn't think anything of it. Go to the doctor, hey, you got cancer. We got to do surgery immediately. I'm 19 years old. I don't know anything about that. I'm the first and only case in my family. So we go into surgery. My parents, again, being a preacher's kid, my dad was like, we're going to pray that away. Well, Dad, as strong as my faith is, we can pray it away, but we got to do something at the same time. Because it says faith without works is dead, so I had to do something. So we went ahead and we had the surgery. So we had the surgery, time goes on, and then during that time, I get told, you may not be able to have kids. You're 19 years old. You get that kind of information, it hits you with a hard blow. Especially when kids are your world. You love them. All you thought about was being a mother and having your own family. So to be told this, it really spent my world upside down. And in a season that when I didn't know myself and who I was and my worth, that was a hard place to be in, a very hard place to be in. So during that time, I didn't deal with it. I didn't talk about it. Majority of my family and friends, they didn't even know I was going through it because I kept it to myself. I bottled up everything inside and I didn't tell anybody what I was struggling with. I didn't really have anybody to talk to because none of my friends, they didn't know anything about this. We're in college. They're going to college dorm parties, fraternities and sorority parties. So they don't know my struggle. All they know is we young. Why you tired? Why you sick? What's really wrong with you? You know, so it was hard because you don't have someone that you can relate to when you're going through that season in life. And I couldn't really talk to my family because it was, we're gonna pray about it. Well, that's great, but how are we gonna help my mental? How am I gonna be able to process what's going on in my life? And so during that time, I began to just do everything to search for some type of happiness. I started dating all the wrong guys, hanging out with all the wrong people, going all the wrong places, and next thing I know, my life was turned upside down. Nothing made sense. Nothing. I didn't know who I was, coming or going, didn't know what I was going to achieve in life. I didn't even know what I wanted. So my answer was, well, if I'm gonna die, if I'm gonna be sick, let me just go ahead and get married. That way at least I can say I had a husband. So then that's when I got with my ex. Didn't have no business being with him. Knew good and well we weren't supposed to be together. But in my mind, because I was toxic, I told myself that this is the right thing to do. Because I wasn't gonna be alone. I wasn't gonna die alone because I was sick. So hey, this works. I got somebody, even though I didn't have anybody. Because when we were married, we wasn't married. He was doing extramarital affairs. I couldn't tell my family about it because I chose him over my family. So I had to stick it out. Who do you talk to? My friends didn't understand because, secret, I married somebody twice my age. Another plot thick. So with that, my friends couldn't relate to me because they were like, we don't know anything about that. We don't know anything about this man because he's double our age, so we don't know what to tell you. So again, every choice I made was just causing consequence after consequence after consequence that was causing my life to spiral out of control. And I blamed everybody else around me but me. It's my family's fault because they didn't support me. My friend's fault because they didn't get it. His fault because he was cheating on me every time I turned around. But I never looked to see I was the common denominator in all of those situations. Because I didn't know how to express my feelings, that's why my relationships became estranged. Because I didn't know how to deal with my emotions, I hid behind, let me get with somebody to try to fill that void that only made it worse. And I know a lot of us have been in that position where when we don't really know what we want, we go searching in any and everything trying to fill those voids, and at the end of the day, when we go home, we still feel worse. It doesn't make it any better. And that's where I was. I was literally in this dark, sunken place of, you know what, I give up. Here we are, it is what it is. And so, surgery after surgery, cheated on after cheated on, don't have my family to talk to, don't really know who to turn to. My friends are out living their life, they're not sick, they're traveling, so why should they slow down for me? That's not their responsibility. We all young. So here we are. So then I said, you know what? We took in my little cousin, who then became like a brother to us. He ended up passing away unexpectedly. And during that time of him passing away, I was at my lowest point. I had moved away from Dallas, moved to Miami, didn't know nothing about Miami and the culture. It was definitely not Southern hospitality at all. But again, I was running. And so when he passed away, I wasn't home. And I had to miss that moment. And so when I came to myself, I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't find myself in this dark place, not being present for important moments that we'll never be able to get back. And so I moved back home. I separated from my ex, and I said, you know what? It's time for me to look at, as Michael Jackson say, the man in the mirror. And I did. I looked at me, and I had to do the hardest thing, was break up with me. Be honest with me that I was my issue. I was the one who wasn't dealing with my emotions. I wasn't dealing with my feelings, and I wasn't expressing it to the people who meant the most to me to actually give them a chance to see if they could actually care enough to help me. And so I went to counseling, and when I went to counseling, the counselor told me one of the hardest things, and she said, Angela, unfortunately, you are your problem. And she said, you want everybody to commit to you, and you're wondering why people can't commit to you because you don't even know how to commit to yourself. And how many of us are in that place where we're like, I can't find a man, I don't know why I can't keep a relationship? Because if we can't even commit to our life goals, because how many of us do vision boards every year? Exactly. We do these vision boards, and then we put them away and we don't look at them anymore. And then at the end of the year, we pull them back out. We're like, oh, well, I did half of that one. I did a piece of that one. And so we can't even fully commit to ourselves. How do we expect our mate to be able to commit to us? How do we expect our friends to be able to commit to us if we don't put in the work to commit to ourselves? And that's one thing I had to learn was if I'm going to get better, if I'm going to attract better, I have to be better. And so I realized that the reason why I was attracting so much brokenness in my life was because I was broken. And so therefore, everything that I looked at was from a broken lens. And I had to want better for myself, so I went to counseling. And then after I went to counseling, I began to put things on paper. And that's where this first book came from. And so then after I went to counseling, I began to say, okay, you know what? Let me see if this actually works. I began to talk to my friends, tell them what I was doing, giving it to them. They started implementing it in their lives, and they started coming back and saying, you know what? That actually works. So then I came up with Hurt, Healed, Happy. That was my second book. This book was literally a step-by-step guide of how I got to the healed version of me. And a lot of people that I run into, they always say, I want to be better, but I don't know where to start. And so this book was a guide to give them some places to be able to start. And literally the first thing that you need to do is discover yourself and what's really the issue in your life. Is it you? Is it the people that you surround yourself with? Is it the places that you go? Is it the things that you accept? All of these things matter. We think they don't, but they matter. Because if you get into a certain place in life, and I discovered it now, even now, being in the place that I am, when I go and speak and I go do things, I'm learning that with friends, I can celebrate them all day long. But when it's my winning season, it's crickets. It's quiet. So that's when I had to learn, you know what? We need to reevaluate our circle. Because if you're in a circle and you sit next to your friends and you look at each other as competition instead of somebody who is a contributor to you, you got the wrong friends. Your friend should be somebody that is a cheerleader to you. They should be adding to you. They should be able to support you in whatever season that you're in, and you should be able to be comfortable enough with them to be yourselves, and they don't judge you. And instead, they can come to you in love, and they can criticize you with love and say, hey, I'm doing this in constructiveness to be able to help you better yourself because I don't want to see you continue to spiral out of control. And that's what I didn't realize I was missing in my life, is I was dealing with a bunch of yes people. And how many of us got those in our lives where we deal with those yes people? Where they tell us what we want to hear, they give us what we want, so then we don't question them. We don't, battle anything they have going on, and we keep them around because they're our security blanket. They're our safe place. But at the end of the day, they're not helping us. They're hindering us more than they're helping us grow. And so that's what I was dealing with, was again, not knowing my circle, not knowing my worth. And so a part of my also being a life coach and an author and a public speaker is I'm also a flight attendant. So yes, I have a lot of jobs. I stay busy, y'all. But being a flight attendant, I traveled prior to working, but then once I became a flight attendant, I began to notice things in detail. And one of the things that I noticed in detail, it didn't hit me one day until I was doing the demonstration on the flight. And I know if you've been on the flight, you've seen it where the flight attendants are, put on your life vest, pull down your mask, make sure you fasten your seatbelt. It didn't hit me until I did an example one day after having an emergency landing. The landing gear on our aircraft wouldn't come down, so they had to manually crank it down. And during that process, they had to tell us, hey, we're not sure if we hit the ground if this is gonna hold up or not. So y'all need to be prepared to be able to skid across the ground. So during this time, the face mask come down, and during the face mask come down, because I'm the lead flight attendant, the one that you see as soon as you come on the airplane that says, hey, welcome aboard, nice to see you, go ahead and take your seat, we'll be on our way shortly. That's me. So as soon as it happened, I had to be the one to make the announcement, put on your life vest before helping others, put on your mask before helping others. And it wasn't in that moment until I had to put on my mask first and have other people following me that I realized that that's why I was suffocating in life. Because I was giving other people my mask first instead of me putting on my mask to secure it first. And a lot of times that's why we're in these situations where we're spiraling out of control, we're mad because things don't make sense, we're questioning everybody in our life, and it's because we're giving everybody our lifeline before we give it to ourselves. We can't help others until we help ourselves. And so that's where this book came in, where it talks about I am enough. And dealing with I am enough, it is a daily journal. And literally, for 365 days, it causes you to have to write down a daily goal. And that daily goal can be something as simple as, today I'm gonna actually go and fill up the car with gas, so I'm not gonna wait till the red light comes on, then I don't have a choice. Or I'm gonna fold this laundry that's been sitting in this chair for 4 days that I've been picking from, and I ain't put it up yet, because a lot of us do that. I know, I'm guilty of it. I got some in the dryer now that I gotta go back to Dallas and fold. I'm just being honest. But with that, this journal causes you to have to write down a goal every day. And then at the end of each day, it's gonna ask you, did you accomplish that goal? Yes or no, and why? Did you let social media distract you? Did you get on the phone with your homegirl, y'all got to gossip for 2 hours, and you looked up and it's like, oh Lord, I gotta get ready for work in the morning. Did you get caught up in those reality TV shows? Hey man, I love y'all. But, but those things like that, they take away from us investing in ourselves. And so that goes back to part of that commitment that I was talking about, is if we can't commit to ourselves, how do we expect others to commit to us? So this journal forces you to have to, again, take that walking vision board with you. That way you can't fill it out one day and then put it up and then pick it back up at the end of the year. It makes you take it with you every day to hold you accountable. And so with this, Again, that was something that learned me to know that I am enough. And as women, you are enough. You have what it takes. You just need to invest in yourself to be able to realize that I am enough in everything that I need in life. Starting with yourself, being honest with yourself, because if you can't be honest with you, how do you expect others to be honest with you? So be honest with yourself. Be honest with the people that we are surrounded with. If your family's the problem, you gotta love them from a distance. If your friend is the problem, you gotta change your circle. Even if your job is the problem. I know we're in an economy where things are hard, things are tough, finances are tight, but if your job is toxic, you gotta make that decision that, you know what, I'm gonna invest and go where I need to go. And if I gotta go back to school to do that, if I have to get somebody to help me with my resume to do that, I'm going to do that. That's the commitment that you're gonna make sure you're doing what you need to succeed. So ladies, stop giving other people your lifelines so that you can stop suffocating and then wondering why you can't breathe because you're helping everybody else, but you're not taking the time to help yourselves. So ladies, I like participation, so I'm gonna say some things, and then when I point to you, after I say these things, I want you to say, I am enough. Can y'all help me with that? All right, so ladies, at your job,
I am enough.
at your home,
I am enough.
in your relationships,
I am enough.
and to yourself,
I am enough.
thank you ladies, you are more than enough.